Welcome to the Logan City School District Annual Employee Orientation, Presentation Number 1. The Board of Education and District Administration thank you for the service you provide to the students and patrons of our school. Logan City School District's mission is to ensure all students leave our schools ready to create a positive future for themselves and their community. Logan City School District also encourages teamwork. We're Team Logan. Team effort always matters. In order to support the team effort required to achieve the mission of the district, this presentation outlines key policies and procedures that will facilitate your success as an employee. If you have any questions regarding a specific policy, please contact your building principal. After viewing presentations 1 and 2 of the employee orientation, you will be asked to sign a form verifying completion. Verification forms are to be submitted to your building principal by September 2, 2022. These forms are available from your building principal. It is encouraged to make copies of your verification forms for relicensure purposes. Personnel Policies, Department of Human Resources. We recognize that in the case of normal district operations, there will be concerns that arise between employees. In such cases, employees of the district adhere to the following means to appropriately communicate and resolve concerns. First, direct communication between individuals involved. Second, communication with building level administration. Third, monthly school advisory, SAC meetings. Fourth, communication of concerns to Logan Education, LEA, leadership through the use of the LEA concern form. Fifth, monthly LEA leadership meetings with district administration. 6. Association representation and conversations with administration when desired. The use of other means to communicate concerns, including school and district-wide announced lists, is not acceptable. As we communicate effectively, we improve our ability to work as a team, which leads to greater success for more students. The professional educator is aware that trust in the profession depends on a level of professional conduct and responsibility that may be higher than what is required by law. This trust entails holding oneself and oneself's colleagues to the same high ethical standards. Educators are role models of civic and societal responsibility, and as such, must demonstrate professional conduct that is befitting a Logan City School District employee, aligns with district and school policies and procedures, complies with federal, state, and local laws, reflects professional ethics and standards outlined in state rules and regulations. Educators shall recognize and maintain appropriate personal boundaries in teaching, supervising, and interacting with students, and shall avoid boundary violations, including behavior that could reasonably be considered grooming or lead to an appearance of impropriety. Guidelines for maintaining professional boundaries include: educators shall not touch a student in a way that makes a reasonably objective student feel uncomfortable. Educators shall not provide gifts, special favors, or preferential treatment to a student or a group of students. Educators shall not discriminate against a student on the basis of sex, race, religion, and/or any other protected class. Educators shall not engage in any sexual conduct with a student, including the sharing of sexually explicit or lewd communication, images, or photographs. Boundary violation means crossing verbal, physical, emotional, and social lines that an educator must maintain in order to ensure structure, security, and predictability in an educational environment. These may include, but are not limited to, isolated one-on-one interactions with students out of the line of sight of others, telling risque jokes to or in the presence of a student, giving gifts to individual students, exchanging personal email or phone numbers with a student for non-educational purposes, discussing an educator's personal life or personal issues with a student, meeting with a student in rooms with covered or blocked windows, communicating with individual students using social media platforms. Educators' communications with students, whether verbal or electronic, shall be professional and avoid boundary violations. Although texting and/or emailing students is not prohibited, such means of communication should be limited to group conversations related to class, school requirements only. Educators should not interact privately with individual students through social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, etc., whether through a computer or handheld device. In all forms of communication with students, minors, and colleagues, educators may not make inappropriate contact in any communication, including written, verbal, or electronic, with a minor student or colleague regardless of age or location. Educators may not solicit, encourage, or consummate a personal or inappropriate relationship, whether written, verbal, or physical, with a student or minor. A staff member who has reason to believe there has been a violation of these standards shall immediately report such conduct to an appropriate supervisor or school administrator. If a staff member has reason to believe a school administrator has violated this policy, the staff member shall immediately report the conduct to the administrator's supervisor. Failing to follow the guidelines regarding interactions with students, or failure to report suspected misconduct as required, is a violation of district policy, the Utah Educator Standards, and in some instances, state law, and may result in disciplinary action. Employees are required to sign a statement indicating they have read and understand the policy DAD-Employee Code of Conduct. The policy and signature form can both be found on the LCSD Human Resources webpage. Professional ethics are principles designed to promote student safety and welfare, guide educator decision-making, foster public confidence in the profession, and advance the profession's ability to withstand public scrutiny. State rule outlines specific ethics, standards, and responsibilities Utah educators must comply with, such as maintaining a positive and safe learning environment for students, expressing personal opinions professionally and responsibility in the community served by the district, communicating and/or resolving a grievance with a student, colleague, school community member, or parent professionally with civility and in accordance with district policy, complying with directives from supervisors. Other relevant components of state rule can be reviewed online. Educators are responsible for all behaviors included in the rule. When educators are accessible and available to meet with and attend to the needs of students, it strengthens school-home partnerships. Therefore, educators are expected to be present at a minimum of 30 minutes before the start of school and 30 minutes after dismissal. As a courtesy to parents, colleagues, and administration, educators are to notify their building administrator when leaving the campus during the workday. Educators are to appropriately utilize leave in such circumstances. Educators as exempt employees under Sections 13A of the Fair Labor Standards Act may also be expected to fulfill associated responsibilities such as chaperoning school events, attending faculty department meetings, attending IEP meetings, and serving on school or district committees. Attendance for the duration of these events is expected, even when it may extend beyond typical work hours. Sick and personal leave. Annually, educators are provided 10 days of sick leave and 4 days of personal leave. Utilization of leave shall be in accordance with Article 7 of the License Negotiated Agreement. Family and Medical Leave Act, or FMLA. Eligible educators shall use Family and Medical Leave Act in accordance with Article 7-2.3 for any extended absences due to the following events: the birth of a son or daughter or of the educator, and to care for that newborn son or daughter. An expectant mother may take FMLA before the birth of a child for prenatal care or if her condition makes her unable to work. The placement of a son or daughter with the educator for adoption or foster care. A father as well as a mother can take the family for the leave of the birth, placement of it for adoption or foster care of a child. A spouse, son or daughter, or parent who has a serious health condition, or the educator suffers from a serious health condition that makes the educator unable to perform the essential functions of that educator's position. Leave without pay, Article 7-7. Absence beyond an educator's accumulated leave days is without pay, and the educator's daily rate of pay and equivalent insurance premiums are deducted from the educator's salary. A day of absence without pay is only to be taken when all other designated leave is exhausted and requires prior written authorization from the superintendent or designee. The professional educator promotes positive relationships and effective interactions with members of the school community while maintaining professional boundaries. All media contact with students or school personnel should be channeled through the administration He will then notify the employee or student. If employees receive media requests without having heard from the administration, those requests should be referred to their building principal. Media personnel should not be allowed access to students without authorization from the school administration and parents. Please contact Shanna Longhurst, the district's communications specialist, to publicize the accomplishments and activities of our students and faculty. Educators are responsible for the proper supervision of their students at all times. When an educator is to be absent, he or she is to adhere to the leave provisions outlined in the license negotiated agreement, including the following. Educators are to properly report absence from the building to the building principal regardless of the need for a substitute. Educators are to secure substitutes through Kelly Educational Services. Educators may not arrange for a relative nor a paraprofessional as a substitute. Educators are to provide substitutes with written lesson plans and means to identify students, for example, seating charts. The Logan City School District License Negotiated Agreement establishes rules and regulations related to state law and district policy. This agreement can be located on the district's webpage. It is incumbent upon each educator to know the rules and regulations contained in the negotiated agreement. These rules and regulations include such things as contract provisions, license responsibility, career educator status, attendance at meetings and professional development, salary provisions and enhancements, paid leave, orderly termination, and insurance provisions. It is the responsibility of the educator to obtain and maintain through the Utah State Board of Education a current Utah education license, including the renewal of an expiring license. The state's contract with Utah Interactive has ended. Utah.gov/teachers is no longer available. USIMS is the only place for educators to complete the following: create an educator record and Cactus ID number, request a background check, complete an educator ethics review, renew an expired professional educator license. If you have any questions on educator licensing, please contact Eric Markworth, Licensing Coordinator. All inquiries about the following, please contact payroll: submitting a name change, insurance information, change of address, bank deposit changes, homeowner loans, income verification. For all inquiries about the following, please contact Human Resources: paycheck discrepancies, leave balances, salary enhancements, application and qualifications. The Logan City School District is committed to providing an environment free from discrimination and illegal harassment. Accordingly, educators take prompt and appropriate action to prevent discriminatory conduct or harassment toward a student or district employee that may result in a hostile, intimidating, abusive, offensive, or oppressive learning and/or work environment. Any staff member who knows of or even suspects any conduct that is sexual in nature occurring at school and/or the work environment must immediately report such to Suzanne Caressa, Director of Human Resources, or Melissa Richardson, Director of Student Services and Title IX Coordinator. A person who believes he or she has been the victim of discrimination or harassment by a student or an employee of the district, or any third person with knowledge or belief of conduct which may constitute illegal harassment, should submit a report of the alleged actions immediately to Suzanne Caressa, Director of Human Resources, or Melissa Richardson, Director of Student Services and Title IX Coordinator. The reporting party or complainant is encouraged to use the reporting, bullying, harassment, discrimination, or hazing link at www.loganschools.org. The district's discrimination and harassment policy, Title IX policy, and bullying, harassment, discrimination, hazing, or abuse reporting form can be located on the district's webpage. An educator must notify his or her principal or director of human resources if arrested for any of the following: an alleged sex offense, an alleged drug-related offense, an alleged alcohol-related offense, an alleged offense against a person, domestic violence, assault, violation of protective orders, abuse or neglect of a child, etc., any matters involving an alleged felony offense. Arrest must be reported within 48 hours. Arrested means any detention that involves fingerprinting at the initial interaction with the police or at a later time. Reporting convictions. In addition to the legal requirement to reporting arrests, an educator must also report to his or her principal or director of human resources the following: any conviction, regardless of the offense, pleas in abeyance, diversion agreements. Convictions must be reported within 48 hours. Substance abuse among employees can impair job performance and threaten the safety of the employees and others, including students. For that reason, the unlawful manufacture, distribution, dispensing, possession, or use of a controlled substance is prohibited in the district workplace. The unlawful manufacture, distribution, dispensing, possession, or use of a controlled substance is a violation of district policy, the Utah Educator Standards, and state law, and may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination of employment. Additionally, employees may not use or be under the influence of alcohol, tobacco, electronic cigarettes, or illegal substances during work hours, on school property, or at school events when acting as a district employee. Educator Evaluation, Department of Human Resources. The effectiveness of public educators is improved and enhanced by providing specific feedback and support. The evaluation process allows the district to work with educators to promote professional growth and to identify and encourage quality instruction in order to improve student academic growth. The district's Educator Evaluation program includes both formative and summative components, including self-assessment, professional growth plan, goal setting, beginning of year conference between the educator and the evaluator, ongoing performance observations, based on educator professional standards established by the State Board of Education, evidence of student academic growth via Student Learning Objectives, SLOs, stakeholder input, and end-of-year conference between the educator and the evaluator. Formative evaluation is designed to promote growth and improvement in an educator's performance. Summative evaluation summarizes an educator's performance and is designed to make an annual rating of an educator's effectiveness. Frequency of evaluation. The formative evaluation process is ongoing. Formative observations may begin on the first day of any given school year. The summative evaluation process occurs according to an educator's provisional, career, or probationary status. See next slide. The summative evaluation process may begin 15 calendar days after the first contract day of any given school year. The frequency of an educator's summative evaluation is as follows. Provisional educators receive a summative evaluation annually during provisional status. Career educators receive a summative evaluation during the year commensurate with their relicensure year. Career educators not receiving a summative evaluation in any given year participate in ongoing formative evaluations. Probationary educators receive a summative evaluation throughout their probationary status. More frequent summative evaluations may be completed as deemed necessary by an educator's immediate supervisor. Evaluation instruments used may include the following: the Utah Teaching Observation Tool, the Utah Educator Evaluation Form, walkthrough observations and debriefings, formal classroom observations and debriefings, observations of performance outside the classroom, observation interviews, the Logan City School District Student Learning Objectives, SLO, rubric, the Logan City School District Stakeholder Input Feedback Review rubric. Educators may contribute information to inform the summative evaluation process at any time throughout the year. Summative evaluations result in an effectiveness rating which differentiates between the following 4 levels of performance: highly effective, effective, emerging, minimally effective in accordance with R277-533, and not effective. Effectiveness ratings are based on multiple lines of evidence relating to the following components: professional performance based on professional standards established by the State Board of Education, student academic growth as measured by the Student Learning Objectives, SLO, stakeholder input. All educators receive an annual effectiveness rating based on the educator's performance as reflected on the educator's most recent summative evaluation or changes documented and discussed during the year. In accordance with the Utah Code, an educator may not advance on the district salary schedule if the educator's effectiveness rating on the most recent summative evaluation is not effective, unless the educator is a provisional educator or in the first year of an assignment. including a new subject, grade level, or school. Curriculum and instruction policies, Department of Teaching, Learning, and Assessment. Educators maintain a positive and safe learning environment for students and work toward meeting educational standards required by law. Their actions include, but are not limited to, supervising students appropriately at school and school-related activities, demonstrating honesty and integrity by strictly adhering to all state and district instructions and protocols, following policies and directives regarding teaching and supervising students, refraining from promoting personal opinions, personal issues, or political positions as part of the instructional process in a manner consistent with law. Assessment is an essential component of effective teaching and learning. Consequently, educators must adhere to all ethical practices and procedures as outlined in the USBE Standards Test Administration and Testing Ethics Policy. Procedures outlined in the USBE Standard Test Administration and Testing Ethics Policy include providing instruction to the intended depth and breadth of the course curriculum, providing accommodations throughout instruction to eligible students as identified by an ELL, IEP, or 504 team, using a variety of assessment methods to inform instructional practices, providing an appropriate environment reflective of an instructional setting for testing, ensuring all students who are eligible for testing are tested, ensuring a student is not discouraged from participating in state assessments, but upon parents' opt-out request following local procedures, the student is provided with meaningful educational activity. Ensuring tests are administered in person and testing procedures meet all test administration requirements. Ensuring the importance of the test participation, and the good faith efforts of all students are not undermined. The appropriate use of video materials in classroom instruction can enrich a student's level of understanding when used in relation to course objectives. Employees are encouraged to use video materials in the classroom that is suitable to the maturity level of students and that relates to predetermined instructional objectives. The video materials must be used for instructional purposes, tied to curriculum, part of the systematic teaching activities of the class, previewed before sharing with students. Educators must adhere to federal and state copyright laws and publisher licensing agreements, as outlined in the Logan City School District Video Material Policy. This policy is located on the district's webpage. Oral Language Assistance Services. Limited English proficient parents and guardians have the right to oral language assistance services. All oral language assistance services should be coordinated through the school's parent liaison or school principal. Special Education Policies, Department of Special Education. Educators in the Logan City School District have an obligation to assist in the identification of students who may have disabilities. This also applies to students who are highly mobile students, migrant and or homeless, students who have been suspended or expelled from school, students who are suspected of being a student with a disability even though they are advancing from grade to grade, students who reside in the Logan City School District boundaries but are homeschool students, students who are in the care or custody of the state, DCFS, JJS, etc. When a parent indicates they have a concern that their child might have a disability, or they request testing for special education, that request needs to be shared with the building administrator. The request does not have to be in writing. The request must be addressed in one of two ways within 10 school days: beginning the referral process, providing proof of written notice of refusal to take action from an administrator. The following are the required members of any IEP team: parent or guardian, LEA representative, local education agency, not less than one special education teacher of the student, at least one general education teacher of the student. Attendance for the duration of the IEP meeting is expected, even if the meeting extends beyond the typical teacher hours. Student Services Policies, Department of Student Services. Employees must keep all protected and personally identifiable information confidential, for example, FERPA and HIPAA. Personally identifiable means information that includes student's name, the student's parent or parents, or other family member or members, student's address, a personal identifier such as the student's social security number or student number, or a list of personal characteristics or other information which would make it possible to identify the student with reasonable certainty. Student information is the property of the student and the parent or guardian. Student information should not be shared with any outside entities except as identified in the district policy FED Student Data Protection. Please contact your building administrator if you have any questions. Student images may not be distributed or published unless authorized by the student's parent or guardian, as indicated on the Logan City School District Student Media Release Form. This includes student images being used for school publicity materials, including on social media, student images shared with outside media outlets. Employees should not publish student images on the employee's personal social media account. School employees may provide information and observations to a student's parents or guardians about the student's progress, health and wellness, and social interactions. School employees may complete a behavior health evaluation form if requested by the parent or guardian to provide information to a licensed physician. A school employee may communicate information and observations between school personnel regarding a student. School employees may also refer a student to other appropriate school personnel and agents, including referrals and communication with a school counselor or other mental health professionals working within the school. School employees may not require that a student take or continue to take a specific medication, whether over-the-counter or prescription medicine, as a condition for attending school. This policy does not include immunizations against communicable diseases as required by the Department of Health as a prerequisite to school attendance. School employees may not recommend to a parent or guardian that a student take or continue to take a psychotropic medication, require that a student take or continue to take a psychotropic medication as a condition for attending school, recommend that a parent or guardian seek to use a type of psychiatric or psychological treatment for a student. School employees may not conduct a psychiatric or behavioral health evaluation or mental health screening, test, evaluation, or assessment of a student except when necessitated to meet the requirements of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, also known as special education. School employees may not make a child abuse or neglect report to authorities, including the Division of Child and Family Services, solely or primarily on the basis that a parent or guardian refuses to consent to a psychiatric, psychological, or behavioral treatment for a student, including the administration of a psychotropic medication to a student, a psychiatric or behavioral health evaluation of a student. School employees may make a report that would otherwise be prohibited if failure to take action would present a serious, imminent risk to the student's safety or the safety of others. Student discipline shall be carried out according to state and federal law, school board policy, and local building procedures. In an effort to provide a safe, positive environment for staff and students, the Logan City School District promotes the practices and principles commonly known as Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, or PBIS. These practices include clear, specific rules and expectations, explicit teaching of rules and expectations, systematic reinforcement of rules and expectations, consistent correction of behavioral errors. All educators are responsible for actively promoting a safe, positive environment for students and staff through the application of these principles. Corporal punishment means the intentional infliction of physical pain upon the body of a minor child as a disciplinary measure. It is the intention of the Logan City School District to provide a safe, secure environment for learning. School employees may not inflict or cause the infliction of corporal punishment upon a student receiving services from the school. Logan City School District is committed to providing a learning environment free from bullying, cyberbullying, hazing, harassment, and other forms of discrimination based upon sex, race, color, ethnicity, religion, citizenship, sexual preference, and/or disability. Educators within the school community have a responsibility to model and advocate appropriate behavior and interactions. Educators and students are prohibited from engaging in bullying, cyberbullying, hazing, harassment, and/or discrimination of a student or school employee on school property, at a school-related or sponsored event, on a school bus, at a school bus stop, or while the student is traveling to and from a school location or school-related or sponsored event. Bullying means intentionally committing a written, physical, or verbal act that a reasonable person should reasonably foresee will have one of the following effects: physical or emotional harm to the student or school employee, damage to the student or school employee's property, placing the student or school employee in a reasonable fear of harm or damage to their property, creating a hostile, threatening, humiliating, or abusive educational environment due to the pervasiveness, persistence, or severity of the actions, or a power differential between the bully and the target, substantially interfering with the student having a safe school environment that is necessary to facilitate educational performance, opportunities, or benefits. Cyberbullying means using the internet, a cell phone, or another device to send or post text, video, or an image with the intent or knowledge or with reckless disregard that the content will hurt, embarrass, or threaten an individual, regardless of whether the individual directed or consented to the conduct or voluntarily accessed the electronic communication. In addition, any communication of this form that is generated off campus but causes or threatens to cause a material and substantial disruption at school or interference with the rights of students to be secure may also be considered cyberbullying. Hazing includes behavior that is committed for the purpose of initiation into, affiliation with, or as a condition for membership in any school or school-sponsored team, organization, program, club, or event. The conduct described next constitutes hazing, regardless of whether the school employee or student against whom the conduct is committed directed, consented to, or acquiesced in the conduct. Hazing means a school employee or student intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly committed an act that meets one of the following: endangers the mental or physical health or safety of a school employee or student, involves any brutality of a physical nature, involves consumption of any food, alcoholic product, drug, or other substance, or other physical activity that endangers the mental or physical health and safety of a school employee or student, involves any activity that would subject a school employee or student to extreme mental stress, or conduct that subjects a school employee or student to extreme embarrassment, shame, or humiliation. Harassment and discrimination mean repeated communicating to another individual in an objectively demeaning or disparaging manner statements that contribute to a hostile learning or work environment for the individual, unwelcome conduct that is demeaning or derisive or occurs substantially because an individual's race, color, ethnic background, national origin, religion, creed, age, citizenship, or disability, and which creates a hostile learning or work environment. Conduct including words or gestures and other actions which illegally disadvantages an individual. Any unwelcome treatment that is sexual in nature or occurs substantially because of the gender of the victim, which creates a hostile learning or work environment. Educators are expected to take prompt and appropriate actions to prevent bullying, cyberbullying, hazing, harassment, and discrimination, including quickly intervening whenever such behavior is observed or whenever they are made aware of bullying, cyberbullying, hazing, harassment, or discrimination, immediately reporting such information to the principal. The district's discrimination and harassment policy can be located on the district's webpage. Any school employee who knows or reasonably believes that a child has been neglected or physically or sexually abused shall immediately notify the nearest peace officer, law enforcement agency, or office of the State of Division of Family Services. Employees must also notify the building principal of suspected abuse. Any person, official, or institution required to report a case of suspected child abuse, child sexual abuse, or neglect and fails to do so is guilty of a Class B misdemeanor. It is not the responsibility of school employees to prove that the child has been abused or neglected, or determine whether the child is in need of protection. If a school employee believes a student is at risk of attempting suicide, physical self-harm, harming others, The employee may question the student in order to refer the student to appropriate prevention services and to inform the student's parents or guardian. The questioning shall be limited to that which is necessary for referral to prevention services or to make the parent or guardian aware of the perceived risk. If a school employee believes that a situation exists which presents a serious threat to the well-being of a student, that employee shall notify the student's parent or guardian and the building principal without delay. The school shall notify the parent or guardian of a student who threatens to commit suicide or is involved in an incident of bullying, hazing, abusive conduct, cyberbullying, or retaliation, whether as a victim or as a perpetrator. The process for notifying the parent or guardian in cases where a student's well-being is in danger shall consist of the school's principal or designee, and a witness shall attempt to make personal contact with the parent or guardian. If a personal contact is not possible, the parent or guardian may be contacted by phone. The contact must be documented on a verification of parent or guardian contact regarding threat or incident form available from the building principal. The provisions of Title IX protect students and employees from discrimination based on sex. All employees are responsible to promptly report knowledge of discrimination or sexual harassment of any kind, including student to student, student to employee, employee to employee. Complaints should be filed with the individual's principal or supervisor and/or the Title IX coordinator in person, by mail, electronically, or through the Report Bullying, Harassment, Discrimination, or Hazing link at www.loganschools.org. The district's Title IX coordinator may be reached at the following address, telephone number, or email. Logan City School District, Title IX Coordinator, Melissa Richardson, 101 West Center, Logan, Utah. Phone number 435-755-2300. Email melissa.richardson@loganschools.org. Thank you. Please contact your building principal if you have any questions.